Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, we have some turbo news. We can see, ladies and gentlemen, Turbo token on October 6th said 3 days left. Let's show the world why Turbo never sleeps. Turbo campaign link, and we can see, right? 3 days left remaining on the $500 Turbo campaign. Keep the entries coming to earn. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, highly recommend doing this. This is not going to take a lot of your time, and you never know if you're going to be one of the winners, right? Highly recommend doing it because, ladies and gentlemen, a couple minutes of your day, even if you win, even if it takes a couple minutes and you win, I mean, that ratio is absolutely fantastic. And if you don't, at least you gave yourself a chance. Listen, new partnership is here. We can see Turbo token is now supported by Cypher Rock X1. Store, send, and receive Turbo with confidence on the world's safest crypto hardware wallet, Cypher Rock X1. So look, ladies and gentlemen, crypto partnership, right? Huge announcement, a couple thousand views. That is what we'd love to see. So shout out to Turbo for this, right? They are doing everything they can. I know some people still want Robinhood, and of course, that is what we want too, ladies and gentlemen. But just know, patience is required. And yeah, man, here are the sticker giveaways that we talked about a couple of days ago. So look, man, every couple of days, every few short days, there's still something small happening, right? They're active, they're giving away, they're doing some type of partnerships. And that's all that you could really ask for at this point. Is a lot of these small things to be consistently happening. And of course, here and there, Turbo does come out with an absolute banger that shocks the world, right? That shocks the world. We can see, ladies and gentlemen, we go over the last month, we are down almost 7%. We can see we are still losing our ranking a little bit. We are ranked 190 out of 9,506 active cryptos, 35 million volume in the last 24 hours. In the last 7 days, we're up 8.55%. However, in the last day, we are down 6.5%. So we can see today we are bleeding a decent amount. And that is mainly because of Bitcoin. Bitcoin took a little bit of a dump. Someone sold very big amounts of Bitcoin. So we are seeing some type of surge to the downside. However, I am not really worried too much, but we will obviously cover that in just a second. We can see, ladies and gentlemen, when we go to the amount of holders, we are still pretty much flatlining. We are slowly rising now, right? We are slowly rising, so that is good. But we are just, like I said, still borderline flatlining, but at least there is some movement to the upside. We can see, ladies and gentlemen, when we go and look at the technical analysis, right, to our beloved Turbo, we can first off see, before we look at it, boom, red day, red day. But this really shouldn't come as a surprise, considering that last week we didn't close very strong. Not only that, but Bitcoin took a little bit of a dump. Now, does this mean this is the end of the world? Does this mean all of that? No, not necessarily. But, we could be seeing some type of bearish momentum over the next few days, just for a little bit. Of course, we will be monitoring everything and continuing to update you guys. We can see, right, Turbo did break structure. All right, when we go to the weekly candle, we did talk about clear as day multiple times that we need to close above this point over here, right? This point up here of 0.004, was it 2, right? 42, and we did it. Last week we did it. In fact, we closed fairly poor. So I expected some type of, bearish momentum this week. Now, does this mean it's automatically going to dump below these levels right away? Not necessarily, right? We still got these 0.032 level. I think I missed a zero there, but you guys get it, 0.0029, right? These are the levels we're looking at. Here's the deal, right? Here is the deal. If this week is going to be a very weak bearish week, then we could see next week potentially be pushing up. I know it is just the start of the week, so we still have many days to go. But we can see, ladies and gentlemen, on the Monday, we did sweep the weekly candle, right? We swept it, and then we instantly kind of just dumped, right? We started to dump. As of right now, when we did break structure, right? We did break structure because we could see we did close right here, which is below all of this structure. So we could see a little bit of a rise over the next 4 hours, maybe a little bit more, but I don't expect this buy candle to be very, very strong. And I expect continuation sell-offs to continue to probably at least 0.0032. Now, I know that's a decent amount, right? If we take not the calculator, but take the tool, that's an extra 11%. But that is just how the markets usually operate. They go from zone to zone, but we're not going to go too deep into that. But we can see, ladies and gentlemen, right on the 4 hour time frame, we've had our most bearish sell candle yet in the last week or so, right? We had the biggest one and we closed the lowest. So right now we are seeing a little bit of a retracement, but nothing too crazy. And like I said, I expect at least for us to go down a couple of percent. The next zone is right over here, right? The next zone is right over here. So we could see a potential, rise once we go down 4 to 5%, right? Because there is a nice support here. It could be very, very short-lived, right? We could literally bounce from here. We could kind of bounce back up. If we continue to fail, then we will most likely just be going lower. And that is just the reality, right? That is just what I see from my knowledge and trading skills. And yeah, I know it's not what people want to hear, but this should not be a surprise considering that I did say clear as day for multiple days last week that we need to close above 0.0042 for us to get real bullish momentum. Because the last few weeks, right, even this whole leg up here, we have a weekly candle close here, 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 and here. So we're just literally going lower and lower. We are failing with the buying pressure, which obviously suggests that we will continue to go lower. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that is ultimately going to be it. I hope you guys did enjoy. We are going to be monitoring everything. I know I did this. Oh, right, I forgot. I don't have the paid version because I don't really need it nowadays. But yeah, I did see very, very nice momentum. We do have this trend line, which I don't think is going to be too relevant. I did see a 3-day chart that did something like this, right? That did something like this. So hopefully we are able to more or less hold. We don't really want to see, sweeps for too long. We don't. If it sweeps, I don't mind, but I don't really want to stay there too long, right? If we go down 2 days, then we come back 2 days. That is what I would like to see. But overall, I would like to see structure kind of hold. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, I'm not the one who decides how everything works. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys did enjoy it, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye. Ladies and gentlemen, the time to get serious is now. The next few months are going to be the most crucial time of your lives. Okay. We're going to have crypto exploding, and this is the time to get a portfolio review. Right? You got to make sure you have the right cryptos. You don't want any old or dead coins, or you don't want anything that can give you little profits, right? So we provide a portfolio review. We've also been smashing it with the high probability meme coins. We hit an 11x, an 8x, and 5.5x in recent times. We also provide a weekly report on the crypto data, on the crypto analysis, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, on other altcoins as well. You get all this and a bunch more other benefits. Highly recommend joining the private community. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make some money.